So I'm delighted to be speaking to Rob Hirst today from Midnight Oil. Midnight Oil are back on the road following their great gigs in 2017, which reached Hammersmith, and we had a great show there. And they're back in June. So there's a show on the 9th of June at Manchester, and then at the O2 Academy in Brixton on Thursday the 13th. So, welcome Rob. We're really looking forward to those shows. What can we expect compared to what you did last time?
Okay, yeah, thanks, Andy. Yeah, well, we've got quite a catalogue over the years, and so the idea is that with about 160, 170 songs to play, that each show would be quite different. So I'm not sure on a particular night in Manchester or Brixton what we'll be playing, but the idea is for our own benefit as well as people coming to see us, and also folks that saw us, as you said, at Hammersmith a couple of years ago. We just want to change the set around quite a lot. I mean, obviously there's some songs we've got to play, but then there's also a whole lot of songs that some we never played live after recording them, which we might dig out as well. So there'll be a few wildcards, I imagine, at the Academy and in Manchester.
I remember talking to Jim as well that before the Great Circles, we did a lot of rehearsal, like well over 100 songs. Is it going to be pretty much the same thing for you guys?
Well, it's lucky we did that because it took about 4 months, Andy, to get back on the road before the world tour in 2017. And but the good thing about that was we actually did play every song at least once, and quite a few of them, quite a few times. We rehearsed, and the idea was that we'd be able to play anything, so that if someone yelled out a song, we could change the set. And we're not one of those bands that plays to the same songs in the same order every night. In fact, that would drive us completely crazy. And we don't have to because there's so much material. So the idea was to kind of keep it a bit loose. We haven't actually started rehearsals yet. We've been doing some demos for new material, actually, which is the first time in a long time that we've done that. So we've spent a few weeks, Jim probably mentioned this, at Jim's studio we've been actually putting down some new tracks as demos. So they probably won't be in the set because everyone's got a smartphone these days, and then that'll ruin the surprise when we finally record them and put them out, whenever that is. But we'll probably continue to work up new material as well backstage. We always have a little drum kit and some amps and guitars backstage that we have before we go on, where we don't play the songs we're about to play. We just play other people's songs or songs we're working on or whatever. So we'll keep working those songs up as well. And then, then just throw whatever 25, 30 songs, for the night, a particular night, and probably do it at the last minute, as we usually do.
Well, I guess that's a great thing about coming together and doing these tours is you are together. So if you have the energy and the motivation, it gives you the chance to create more music. I was going to ask, outside of when you're on these intense bouts of touring, do you guys see each other socially? I know you and Jim go way back, or is it only when you get together for touring?
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, like a lot of bands, we see so much of each other on tour. We don't see a huge amount of each other outside touring. But however, Jim and Martin and I play in a band called The Break. It's like a instrumental band, like a surf, punk, spaghetti western sci-fi band. Brian Ritchie from the Violent Femmes is playing bass in that band, and Jack Howard from Hunters and Collectors, the Australian band. And we have a lot of fun. We made a couple of albums with that band, and so we go out and play some gigs with that. And so we see each other then with that band. I also see Jim because Jim does a lot of production, so he's always helping out with other projects of mine, whether it be my band, the blues band, the Backsliders, or I've got a couple of other projects on the boil. I've got an EP with my friend Schwampy from Brisbane. We made an album under the name of Hirst-Sennett called Crashing the Same Car Twice, an EP, and we've got another one coming out. I'm also getting around to recording with my long-lost daughter, Jay, who I only discovered actually 8 or 9 years ago, who lives in Tennessee with her husband and family. We're making music for the first time. She's got an amazing voice, and she's a songwriter in her own right. And so it's taken some time, but now we've finally found some time to make music together, or be it, across the ditch. So I went over to Nashville last year. We spent some time. We recorded a lot of Jay's vocals. I brought it back. Most of the production's being done in Sydney with producer Brent Clark helping me out. And so next year that'll probably come out. We'll see the live day at some point as well. So there's all these other projects, and of course Jim has multiple projects as well. His guitar orchestra and his Irish band and his own band, the Family Dog. So there's all this stuff going on all the time. So we'll never really stop. In fact, when Pete left for all those years and became a politician in Canberra in Australia, we actually got busier than ever with all these outside projects. And I like to think that all the things that all the people we've played with, that's influenced now to some extent the music that we're making now with Midnight Oil.
That's great. And I was just thinking, if you cast your mind back to when you, Jim, first met, I guess when you were still at school and had that covers band, Schwampy Moose, doing Beatles covers, did you imagine you'd be out sort of both playing with this international renowned band, but then also with all these other projects?
Yeah, I shouldn't jinx it, but we've been so fortunate, and we're so lucky to have found the right chemistry for our bands early on. Because I know so many fantastic musicians, but for one reason or other, they haven't found the right combination to be in a band like ours. And bands, for me, bands have always meant strength, because everyone brings something to the party. Everyone. Like, some people are songwriters, some people are performers, some people understand the biz, some people are great producers, And in our band, we managed to find that right combination really early, and we're so lucky that we did.
What I love about, not least that you have the core members that have been together for all those years, is that you seem to have this common bond and purpose, not just around the music, but about the subjects that you cover in the music as well.
Yeah, it's incredible. Our politics are really similar. I mean, not always, but on the big issues, and there are lots of big issues in Australia right now. We're leading up to this election coming up, and so the major political parties are redefining themselves, about where they stand on everything from the environment to renewable energy to the treatment of indigenous Australians to our lagging education. Kids, we're behind the 8 ball there, to the terrible drought which has reduced our major rivers, particularly the Darling River, to a trickle with lots of dead fish. I don't know if you've seen that. Terribly sad. So look, it's all, this is a magnificent country, and it continues to be so much better for so many people. But at the same time, we've got a massive long way to go as well. And these kind of things, these frustrations, these issues, they just because of who we are, and because we've always been a band that likes to put this kind of stuff in our music, not just ignore it, and also to lend our name to certain issues and causes and benefits. We've always done that. It doesn't seem a contradiction to us to do that. It's always been part of what we do. And we're not the only band, by the way, here that does that. A lot of bands here that do that alongside us, and a lot of new bands are doing that as well. Not just bands in the whitefella bands in the cities, but a lot of First Nations regional bands are getting a lot of traction and airplay and national and international recognition now, which is great to see.
Yeah, and music's a great platform to do this, but I think you guys do a great job at balancing the two. I was talking to Jim about Truganini, and over in the UK, it's just like a name, but then with the song, people then dig into who was this character, and then you find out that the whole story and how it sort of represents an unfortunate historical and still continuing theme about the abuse of the native culture, the abuse of the indigenous people.
I remember when we first sent the song to the American record company, they sent a note back to Gary, our then manager, and said, who or what is a Truganini? and I said to Gary, look, for years we have had an avalanche of American culture arriving, through films, through Jimmy Webb songs, whatever. We got the lot. So it behooves us to actually send a little back, and for people to do a bit of investigation. If it seems too remote to talk about or sing about what a lot of people thought was Tasmania's last Aboriginal after the genocide, then that's Midnight Oil. But this is us. This is what we're doing. This is what we're sending out to the world. So tough.
Yeah. Last thing I wanted to touch on is Armistice Day, the live recording in DVD. I know it's been out in Australia since last year, or since Armistice Day last year, but I believe it's getting a wider release in international markets. So tell us a little bit about that recording. I know that Jim had busted his leg up as well, was in a wheelchair.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so the first thing, a couple of gigs before at the Myer Music Bowl in Melbourne, Jim had a terrible, unfortunate accident, onstage accident, where he'd ripped the hamstring completely off the bones, poor fella, but then soldiered on, probably high as a kite on painkillers, and sat down and instead of standing up, played guitar and keyboards and sang, all brilliantly, as he always does, for the last 4 shows. The last 2 shows were actually recorded. So the Armistice Day CD and DVD that we put out was actually a combination of material from those last 2 shows, from the Domain shows in Sydney, which is our hometown.
Yeah.
So they meant a lot to us. After all, we've been out touring all year, a tour starting in South America and Brazil in March, and then finally ended in November in Sydney. And so it meant a lot for us to get the music down. By then, the crew were very tight. We had a fantastic road crew, and the band was playing well. And I think, we pretty much captured the guts of it. But there were so many songs that were left out, because we couldn't fit them all on the DVD. So the strong album, my only regret is that there's not a few more of the more recent songs we recorded, songs from Capricornia, the last album we recorded, and some of the other lesser-known songs that we were recording during the year. We didn't actually end up recording for the DVD.
Well, and I guess the good news is that you've got this tour, you've got the 2 dates, just to remind people again, the 9th of June in Manchester and the 30th of June in London. And it'd be great, I guess, first for people to go out and listen or watch the DVD, and then fill in the gaps when they come to see you at those live shows. It'd be great to hear some of those other songs.
Yeah, that's great. And so that's what we'll be doing in the months leading up to the first show in Manchester, which is the beginning of the tour. Is we'll be just making sure we can do good versions of a whole bunch of other songs, and then hit the road. And then we're very fortunate. We've got these great festivals in Europe we can play, and we love playing European festivals. They treat the band so well, and they're usually in an amazing spot, either with an historic castle or a chateau, or overlooking a lake or incredible mountains. The shows we played in 2017 in Europe were the ones I remember, best, because of the incredible locations and how well the band was treated.
Great. Well, in the UK, we're always welcome. We always get a warm welcome. So we really look forward to seeing you, Rob. It's an absolute pleasure talking to you, and we'll see you in June.
Thanks, Andy. We look forward to seeing you in early June.
See you soon, mate. Thank you. Cheers.
Okay, bye.